Walt Mosher said, oh, Jesus Christ, I got so much to do. Sorry, I'm going to catch up with these. Walt Mosher says, if a woman has a steady, very discreet sugar daddy and her long-term boyfriend does not know, how will that impact their relationship if they get married? Well, how do you think that that's going to affect their relationship, right? How do you think that, I mean, it doesn't even have to be something as extreme as like, as being a sugar baby, right? I guess, right? How's that going to affect their well, who's she marrying? Who's she getting with? Who's long-term? Who's good? What's the context of the long-term relationship? If they get married, that guy is still living in the shadow of the fact that he's married a prostitute, essentially. And I'm not uncomfortable in saying that. She's not a sex worker. She's a prostitute. She's not a gold digger. She is a prostitute. End of story. I mean, can we can we please use the correct language here? She's a prostitute. What she does meets the criterion for prostitution. That's not hard. Well, how's that going to affect you? I don't know. How's that going to affect that guy? Is he going to rationalize it away? There's a million things could be, I'm not saying, well, oh, was it right or it's wrong? Well, clearly it's wrong, but like you can draw those conclusions for yourself, but she's just doing what she's doing because she's trying to get ahead in the world. Is she going to have an alpha widow? Is her sugar daddy going to be? I don't know. How beta is that guy? So I think that's, by the way, I don't mean to run you up the flagpole there, Walt, but these are the kinds of questions that you are, if you're a man of like, say, if you're in my prime demographic, which is like 25 to 34 right now, if you're in that prime demographic, you're going to have to deal with this. Like, do you want to get with, like, where do you draw the line? What's the threshold for you to say, you know what? I don't want to get into a relationship with a woman who has already been with a long-term boy. And now he doesn't know about that. The secrecy of that at some point, it kind of depends on the woman. Like, can she just sort of, justify and absolve herself and reconcile the fact that she is a prostitute, and reconcile the fact that the guy doesn't know. It's kind of like, well, I have an essay. We just talked about this too on Rule. By the way, Rule Zero, if you haven't seen it, it was on John Fitch's channel. It was actually very, very good. We talked about the Madonna whore complex or dynamic, I guess. It was a really good conversation. It was myself, Ryan, Aaron Clary, Paul Benjamin came in for a little bit, and then of course it was on John Fitch's channel. Go check that out. It was very, very good. The conversation was like here, top tier. But the idea is that how does that create? Is she going to be an alpha widow for her sugar daddy? Probably not. But how's that? I think there's too many variables. First of all, are you going to out alpha this guy? I don't know. What's the guy like? How's that going to impact the relationship? Well, you're going to find out. What was it? Riley Reid and then Lana Rhodes, like both former. Is there anything such thing as a former porn star? Former porn stars now regret doing porn, and of course Riley Reid, who's been railed in a million different ways, basically taught sex ed for a generation of guys. Now suddenly she's against. Now suddenly the prodigal daughter returneth, and now she's against it, and Lana Rhodes is against it. Well, that's the extreme version of this question here. Like, you're always going to say, well, you know what? There's a backlog, there's an archive of hundreds of thousands of video hours, let's just say, of Lana Rhodes and Riley Reid and God knows whoever else. You're a good Christian girl who's now wants to be a pastor's wife who was a former porn star. There's still guys out there rubbing it out to that chick right now. So how does that affect you? You have to really be in denial, or you got to find some way to sort of rationalize it away for yourself. So perhaps, maybe the Lord can help you with that, but that doesn't mean you're not going to deal with it. So yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that's not a dumb question, Walt. I think that it's a pertinent question right now, because more and more guys are going to be dealing with that as women who were, or maybe still do, have OnlyFans, and you're like, how do I get my wife out of OnlyFans?